Welcome to another episode of Shakespeare with Cats. Tank, thank you for that close-up. There we go. Ollie here. I'm Mr. Level, and we're about to read Act 3, Scene 2. Ooh, enter Macbeth's lady. Sounds like kind of scandalous, but that's just a different way to say Lady Macbeth. And a servant. Is Banquo gone from court? Aye, madam, but returns again tonight. Say to the king I would attend his leisure for a few words. Madam, I will. The servant exits. Naught's had, all's spent, where our desire is got without content. 'Tis safer to be that which we destroy than by destruction dwell in doubtful joy. Great lines here from Lady Macbeth. She says, naught's had. Naught means nothing. So naught's had means nothing is had. And then it says, all's spent. All is spent. So if nothing is had and all is spent, you have spent everything and you've gotten nothing. Under what circumstance? Where our desire is got without content. They got their desire. They got what they wanted, but she's not content. 'Tis safer to be that which we destroy. So that which they destroy was actually Duncan. They killed Duncan. Than by destruction dwell in doubtful joy. Gosh, she's saying it'd be safer to be Duncan than to be themselves. That's strange. Enter Macbeth. How now, my lord, why do you keep alone? Of sorriest fancies your companions making, using those thoughts which should indeed have died with them they think on. What does she think Macbeth wants to stay alone for? Tank. No, you've had some. Why does she suggest that he is using those thoughts which should indeed have died? She thinks he's thinking about Duncan. She thinks that Macbeth is being mopey and wants to stay alone because of Duncan's death. And she says that those thoughts should have died with them they think on. They should have died with Duncan. Things without all remedy should be without regard. What's done is done. Things without remedy. So if it doesn't have a cure, then you shouldn't regard it. You shouldn't think about it. What's done is done. Plain and simple, Macbeth. You can't change it. But she's misreading him. Macbeth says, we have scorched the snake, not killed it. She'll close and be herself while our poor malice remains in danger of her former tooth. But let the frame of things disjoint. Both the worlds suffer, ere we will eat our meal in fear and sleep in the affliction of these terrible dreams that shake us nightly. You probably noticed he just said that they have terrible dreams that shake us nightly. They have these nightmares. Macbeth hath murdered sleep. So he's not sleeping so well now. But he says before that's going to happen, before we let that be the case, and before we eat our meal in fear of being killed and poisoned and so forth, before that's the case, he says, let the frame of things disjoint, both the worlds suffer. Okay, the frame of things is like the structure of all things. In other words, the whole world. Let the whole world disjoint. Let the whole world come apart. Let both the worlds suffer. Okay, heaven and earth. Let it all suffer before that happens to us. It's about as selfish a statement as you can make. Better be with the dead, whom we, to gain our peace, have sent to peace, than on the torture of the mind to lie in restless ecstasy. So to be with the dead, he says, better to be with the dead. That would be Duncan, he says, whom we, to gain our peace, have sent to peace. We, in order to gain the peace of being king, we sent Duncan to his peace, his death. And he says that would be better, to be with them, than on the torture of the mind to lie in restless ecstasy, to be having this kind of tortured mind and lie in this restless ecstasy. I think the ecstasy here is that he is king, yet it's a restless ecstasy. He's not comfortable because he's not content and he knows that he feels endangered. Duncan is in his grave. After life's fitful fever, he sleeps well. Treason has done his worst, nor steel, nor poison, malice domestic, foreign levy. Nothing can touch him further. I mean, Macbeth's just sitting here throwing himself a pity party. Like, oh, I just want to be like Duncan. That's how he was before. When Duncan was king, Macbeth wanted to be like Duncan. And now Duncan's dead, and he's like, oh, lucky guy. He's in his grave. Nothing can touch him. What a genius. Lady Macbeth notices this moodiness and says, come on, gentle my lord, sleek over your rugged looks. Be bright and jovial among your guests tonight. In other words, he's looking pretty mopey, and she's telling him to be bright and jovial. You have to put on the act in front of your guests tonight. Because remember, there's a big banquet tonight. Macbeth says, so shall I, love, and so I pray be you. So he turns it back towards her. Let your remembrance apply to Banquo. Present him eminence both with eye and tongue, unsafe the while that we must lave our honors in these flattering streams and make our faces vizards to our hearts, disguising what they are. His advice to her is to see Banquo, and if you see Banquo, present him with eminence with both with your eye and your tongue, the way you look at him, the way you speak to him. And he points out that we must make our faces vizards, okay, masks to our hearts. We can't let our faces reveal our hearts. This idea has been here before in the play, and he's repeating it again. And ultimately, we have to disguise what they are. They, the antecedent for they is hearts. They have to disguise what their hearts are. In other words, he knows how corrupted their hearts are, and they have to disguise that with their faces. Lady Macbeth, again, thinks that he's moping about Duncan's death. You must leave this. Oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife. Thou knowest that Banquo and his fleance lives, but in them nature's copy is not etern. Okay, so I love this line, oh, full of scorpions is my mind, as if like you picture the image of scorpions inside your mind, you know, constantly going like this. It sounds like a pretty terrible state to be in, terrible mental state. And then he says that, he points out that Banquo and fleance lives, and Lady Macbeth's line is so sociopathic. She says, but in them nature's copy is not etern, meaning they have not been granted eternal life. Wow, what a gem she is. And Macbeth, in response to that, says, well, there's comfort yet. They are assailable. In other words, oh, that's comforting. They could be killed. Then be thou jocund. Jocund means happy. Ere the bat hath flown his cloistered flight, ere to black Hecate's summons the shard-born beetle with his drowsy hums hath rung night's yawning peal, there shall be done a deed of dreadful note. Remember, ere means before. So before what? Before the bat flies, before Hecate's summons come out, night's yawning peal. He's describing darkness. Before nighttime falls, there shall be done a deed of dreadful note. Okay, he's being euphemistic. And apparently Lady Macbeth has been taking her stupid pills because she doesn't know what he's saying. What's to be done? It sounds pretty obvious. I mean, they were just talking about Banquo and fleance and how they might want to. And she said, oh, you could kill them. And he says, oh, yeah, before night, something's going to happen. Wink, wink. She's like, what's to be done? Be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck, till thou applaud the deed. I mean, I can't think of a better, cute pet name for someone's spouse than Chuck. Dearest Chuck. I guess that's how they do things. Be innocent of the knowledge. He's telling her to not know about it, and then later you'll applaud the deed. You'll just be clapping when it happens, whatever it is. He turns and kind of says this to himself aside. Maybe he thinks it internally, or maybe he says it just to himself and she overhears him saying it. I suppose that's going to be the case because we'll see how she responds. But he says, come, sealing night, scarf up the tender eye of pitiful day, and with thy bloody and invisible hand cancel and tear to pieces that great bond which keeps me pale. Light thickens, and the crow makes wing to the rooky wood. Good things of day begin to droop and drowse, whiles night's black agents to their praise do rouse. Thou marvelest at my words, but hold thee still. Things bad begun make strong themselves by ill. So prithee, go with me. And they exit. At the end here, he says, you're marveling at my words. She is. She's staring at him. Her mouth is agape. And then he encourages her to come along with me here. What were those words? What was in between those dashes? That I want you guys to think about further, and you'll be answering questions about that. Okay? That's the end of scene 2.